These are the worst series and books I've read in 2025 so far. Let's start with the most controversial one, the Stormlight Archive. The Stormlight Archive is overwritten. Most of the action and events, the main events that happen in the last 150 pages of the book, which is really not a problem, except for the fact that the book pages usually lie between 1,000 and 1,300 pages. Yeah. My favorite book in the series so far is actually one of the novellas, and that is, it's one of the novellas, and that is, the name is escaping me, but it's Lift's story. So that's actually my favorite, followed by Oathbringer. And there is something about this year where if I'm not liking the first book or the second book in the series, I really have to ask myself, why am I going to continue to read? And Stormlight Archive is definitely one of those for me, so I have to say it's overrated. The second series for me that's overrated is the Sun Eater series. I have read Empire of Silence, Howling Dark, Demon in White, which I actually did enjoy, and most recently, Kingdoms of Death. And I have to say, the first book, I thought, this is trash. Why am I reading this? This story doesn't make sense. Book 2, I'm like, okay, this is interesting, but our hero is way overpowered. Book 3, I'm like, oh, okay, now we have more plot, a little bit more adventure. This is more interesting now, okay. And then book 4, I was reading it, and the whole time I was reading it, I could acknowledge that it was a good story, but I thought to myself, I do not care about this. I don't care what's happening. I don't care about the story. I don't care about the character. There are no stakes in this because from the very beginning, the story is being told by our hero in the future about past events. So that immediately kills all of the stakes of any events that are happening to our hero because we know that he's going to survive. Book 4, like long scenes of desperation and torture where you feel like the hero is not going to make it. The hero is going to make it. We already know that because the hero is telling us the story. Unless, and this is just me throwing out theories here, unless our hero is not so trustworthy and it's not actually our hero telling us the story and there's someone else telling us the story. That could be interesting if that's some kind of gotcha moment. But yeah, there are no stakes in it. We already know. And at the end of every book, the narrator says, you already know what happens, so you could end the story here if you want to, but me, I must go on. And after hearing that in book 4, I was thinking, yeah, I could end it right here. And I don't know if I should, but I could end it right. So yeah, the Sun Eater series is overrated. The Bloodsworn Saga. This is so disappointing because I actually have these books on the shelf and I do not enjoy them. I don't enjoy John Gwynne. I don't know why I bought books from John Gwynne. I didn't enjoy Malice. Couldn't get through it actually. So I just DNF'd it multiple times, couldn't get through it. And then I decided to start the Bloodsworn Saga. Why would I do that? And I ended up finishing the first book, Shadow of the Gods, I think it's called. I don't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it. I don't recommend it. I think it's overrated, and I'll never spend money on John Gwynne ever again. Jade City. I think Jade City is overrated. I have come to the conclusion that I don't really care for character-driven fantasy stories. I like my fantasy stories to have lots of plot, which Jade City does, but I want like heavy magic. I want heavy magic in the magic system. It's a fantasy book. I want heavy magic in the magic system, and I want the plot to be super duper heavy. Whereas this does have plot, it is character centered, which is not a con. I like it to be character centered plus the heavy magic plus the plot, and this is missing one of those 3 elements for me, so it's overrated to me. The Witcher. Now, I don't know if I'm in the wrong because I started with the prequel versus reading the first book, but the prequel is pretty hard to get through. It's pretty laborious of a read. And what I can say is kudos to the people on Netflix for being very close to the book, because when I was watching The Witcher, the first season didn't make any sense to me. Like, why is this happening? This doesn't make sense. This is dumb. Why are we jumping across stuff? I don't like when we can't follow a through line of a story. I don't patch together stories and events that don't follow anything. I don't like that. And The Witcher, the prequel anyway, is very much that, and I don't enjoy that at all. So for me, that's overrated. The First Law series by Joe Abercrombie. So I wanted to pick up The Devils this year, but I couldn't pick up The Devils without first reading The First Law. And the first book, I really didn't like it. I rated it 3 stars because it was okay, but it wasn't a great time. The second book, I rated the second book 3.5 stars, and I told myself I'm gonna DNF the series. And if all has gone well, then I've already released the reading vlog of me reading The First Law by the time you see this video. And I started cleaning up and walking around and picking up around the apartment, and I just wanted some background noise. So I let the audio of the third book play. And why is the third book so much better than the first book and the second book? I still don't recommend the series. I still think the series is way overrated. But the fact that there was no plot and the magic system didn't really show itself until the book is definitely overrated. I don't even know how, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's definitely overrated. I don't think it, yeah. But I am still reading the series. I'm still on the third book, and the third book is actually enjoyable. If the third book was the first book, then this would be like on the best books that I've read this year, probably. But the fact that it's taken 3 books for me to even care about the story, I'm gonna have to say that The First Law is also overrated. Shield of Sparrows. I wanted to DNF this book so bad until I got to the 70% mark. And then the ending was okay. But I think this was like a 2-star book for me. It wasn't good. I don't recommend it. It's overrated. I won't be reading anything else from this author. So, Heavenly Bodies was a huge disappointment because a lot of my favorite booktubers have read this and they really enjoyed it, and I really hated it. Yeah, no, Heavenly Bodies, I won't be recommending. The Bound and the Broken. This really disappointed me. I liked book 1 quite a bit. Book 2 really disappointed me. I am going to continue in the series because book 3 apparently is a lot of people's favorite book. So I do want to, I have such FOMO. Like, I don't want to miss out on something. And that's why I don't DNF books enough. And I keep reading through. But yeah, book 2 disappointed me. And sometimes book 2 in a fantasy series does disappoint, I have to say. So I'm gonna give it grace and I'm gonna read book number 3, but this has been overhyped in my opinion, and it was disappointing. And also the heavy borrowing, I don't wanna say stealing, but the heavy borrowing from other fantasy authors, specifically Robert Jordan, in book 2 really put a bad taste in my mouth for this series and for this author. So that's another thing that's like a real yuck for me. I know there's nothing new under the sun, but still, you don't have to write it within the same words and in the same vein as another author. Like, major ick on that. Warbreaker. I almost made an entire video about how much I hated this book. If I could give it 0 stars, I would have given it 0 stars, and I should have DNF'd that book. It was so bad. I really hated it. And that book is the reason why I haven't read any more Brandon Sanderson since January, February. Yeah, February is when I read Warbreaker, and I haven't picked up a Brandon Sanderson book since then. It was so bad. Overrated. And I think really, I'm saying overrated, but these are the worst books that I've read so far this year. The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. Now this hurts my heart because I really like Carissa Broadbent, but this was so bad. I have never seen an author destroy a character so mercilessly. It's like the book was written by a different author. I just don't get how the same author that wrote The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, as well as The Serpent and the Wings of Night, I don't see how that author also wrote this. But also this year I picked up The first book by Carissa Broadbent with the butterflies and the girl in red, Daughter of No Worlds, I think it is, and I hated that too. So I don't know. The Carissa Broadbent is really a hit or miss author for me. But the Songbird and the Heart of Stone, like this hurt my heart that it was so bad. It was so bad. I do not recommend. Anyway, if you guys like what you saw or didn't like what you saw, please let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you all next time. Ciao.